Do you remember the good old days of going around to your mate's house, firing up the Xbox and hearing this? With the recent announcement of the remake for the Halo campaign, I really wanted to discuss the original soundtrack for the game and how it really changed music composition for the video game industry. To understand why Halo's soundtrack had such a huge influence on people, you really need to understand the limitations of hardware before Halo and what was happening in the early 2000s.
Sega challenges you with the ultimate video game, the Sega Master System.
You see, prior to the 2000s, PC and video game consoles were limited to the use of cartridges and CD-ROMs. With cartridges getting a maximum of 111 megabytes by the end of the 90s and CD-ROMs on the PS1 having a capacity of around 650 megabytes, most composers were limited to writing music with 16-bit audio samples due to the limited room. However, this will change with the release of the Xbox in the early 2000s. The industry moved to consoles that used DVD-ROMs, which had a capacity of 4.7 gigabytes, and dual-layered DVDs, holding around 8.5 gigabytes. So, why am I telling you this? Why is this even important? And what does this have to do with Halo? What this meant for composers is that they were able to work with musicians and record live music. As a musician and composer myself, I feel as if this is not appreciated enough. You see, for a lot of composers prior to the early 2000s, at least in the West, video game composition was kinda considered side work or passion work. People in the music industry didn't really take video game composition seriously. A lot of composers who had studied music and trained through a university or college would kinda consider the work beneath them. Personally, I feel that Halo's soundtrack was one of the first soundtracks to help change that perception in the West. Martin O'Donnell, one of the composers for the Halo series, has stated in interviews that he himself didn't consider writing music for video games seriously until he played the 1993 game Myst, stating Myst had shown him at the time the real potential for real, compelling music and voice acting in games. So with the release of the Xbox, the leap forward in technology, Martin and Michael Salvatore were able to do what a lot of musicians would have liked to have done, and that's record with live music. While Halo wasn't the first game to use live recordings, it was one of the first games to use a cinematic approach and apply it to a video game. Here's an example from the level, The Silent Cartographer.
Covenant believe that what they call the Silent Cartographer is somewhere under this island. The Cartographer is a map room that will lead us to Halo's control center. The island has multiple structures and installations. One of them contains the map room.
We're approaching the LZ. It's gonna be hot. Get set to come out quickest. Touchdown! Hit it, Marines!
The running strings and the driving percussion for the time of 2001 made it feel like you were playing in a movie and dropping onto the beach with your Marines. You are controlling the hero. You were Master Chief. Video games hadn't had this cinematic approach before Halo. While you can argue Metal Gear Solid 1's soundtrack had used music cinematically in cutscenes, Halo and Metal Gear Solid 2 were the first real games to incorporate cinematic music to gameplay. Halo for the Xbox and Metal Gear Solid 2 for the PlayStation 2. What's crazier is both games were released 2 days apart from each other. Video games prior to 2000 only really used looped melodies for a character or an environment, known as themes. This is still used today, but with adaptive music it's hidden and layered behind how a player interacts with an environment or character, which triggers the theme. There may even be multiple orchestrations of that theme depending on how you interact with that character or environment. Composers and devs use this technique to make gameplay feel more cinematic. Halo pioneered this approach. While a lot of gamers would put Halo in their top 5 of soundtracks of all time, I'm not sure I personally would. I think you need to take a holistic approach when it comes to Halo's soundtrack and why it's so memorable. It's everything that Bungie did right. It's the gameplay, graphics, Bungie's approach to designing interesting encounters. All these things work together to really catch lightning in a bottle. With all this, you get a well-written soundtrack, but more importantly, you get a soundtrack that changed the video game industry. With the remake announced, only time will tell if Halo Studios will still be able to catch that lightning in a bottle, and if the remake lives up to expectations or not. If you like this type of content and want to see more of it, please like and subscribe to the channel. It helps with the YouTube gods and algorithm. It also gives me an idea of what type of content people want to see more of. Cheers.